Hi, welcome to Punchline Talks, the business breakfast briefers. I'm Mark Owen, and each week I invite a panel of business experts to review the morning newspapers, find out what's happened in their own individual business, their own individual business sectors, and finally, what's caught their eye in this week's Punchline. But before I start, I just want to bring up our hot topic because this week, let's talk retailing, what it's really like at the sharp end. We have three retailing experts, and Claire, who knows a lot about retailing as well, I'm sure. So, okay, let's meet the panel. So we've got Councillor Tony Davey, the Independent Town Councillor for Stroud. He's also chair of the Stroud District Chamber of Commerce and co-owner of two shops in the centre of the town, which is Confection, Affection and Party On Up. He's just become interim chairman of LoveNailsworth and helped relaunch the popular artisan street market. So we'll find out why it's so important that he's done all that as well. We've got Clare Vertigen. She is the MD of Southwest Apprenticeship Company. I've known Claire for around 20 years. She cares passionately about helping young people into work. She's also director of the Western Training Provider Network. As SWAC has a turnover of 1.7 million, employs 4 staff, but employs over 100 apprenticeships across the country. 99% of SWAC apprentices gain employment after completing their apprenticeship. So we'll find out all about the company and how it helps young people and helps businesses. We got Chris Rawlins. He's the CEO of SoFab Sports or CIC. Their mission is to create employment opportunities for those that are long-term employed, employing over 30 people with more than 60% of whom have physical or learning disabilities, ex-cons, homeless, or recovering from substance addiction. And again, I've known Chris a long time, and he too is just as passionate about his business. The company helps by employing them to sell end-of-line replica sportswear for online marketplace and increasingly via live shoppings like TikTok or Tilt, and from their flagship store in Cabot Circus. This year, expected turnover to be around 3 million. So we'll find all about that. Congratulations on that, Chris. And we got Tom Haines. He's the founder and owner of Hedgie. The company sells environmentally friendly chemical-free bamboo socks that spread awareness of the British wildlife and the countryside, and it donates 10% of its profits to charity. They get orders from all over the world and have recently launched a series of more exotic animal designs. In total, Hedgie produces 90 different designs, including a children's range. So we'll find out how Tom got started and all about the business, and he kindly sent me some socks as well, which I'll be putting on later on. Okay, thanks ever so much for that. Great to meet the panel. Let's see what's making the headlines today, courtesy of Sky News. The Mirror, strictly rocked already. The Daily Express, weak Labour's day of shame for migrant figures. The Times, hotel of migrants face a wave of protests. The Guardian, revealed 83% of Gaza war dead are civilians, Israeli data suggests. The Daily Mail, all-time high for asylum claims. The Sun, mum's home. The Daily Telegraph, Britain facing an autumn of discontent. And the Daily Star, we've got no chance. Okay, it's a real mixed bag today, isn't it? Typical of the Daily Star. Claire, let's bring you in first. Great to see you. What have you picked out from the papers? It's got to be
Well,
GCSE.
it's GCSEs, isn't it? It was a massive day yesterday across the whole of the county. The county did actually quite well compared, across looking at it nationally. I just thought it was interesting to. Obviously, it's everywhere about what the grades are, but this year's 16-year-olds that came through were the year that were worst hit by the pandemic. So when they were in primary school, their key stage 2 exams were cancelled. So they didn't have that, and they went into a whole new world of online learning, and it was disrupted learning for 2 years. I don't know. I think they actually did quite well across the board. I had just picked up that 23% of 16-year-olds in England are awarded 7 or above, which is pretty good. Dean Magna, our local school, they've said that they've done really well. Maths and English have fallen compared to last year. Resits are up. And the big thing for me, which is one for me to look out for, is the government are saying there's going to be some kind of reforms that are needed, and perhaps there's going to be functional skills tests, because what happens is if you fail your maths and English, you have to retake. Now, they changed last year the funding rules around in apprenticeships, because otherwise you could be up to like 90 years of age and resitting your maths and English constantly while you were doing your apprenticeship. And they've stopped that, so it stops at 18. So it looks like they're going to look at how they can reform it for the 16 to 18-year-olds, so they're not constantly retaking while they're in their apprenticeship or while they're at college doing that. If it's just something they can't be done. We all know somebody who's done really well in life. I've got a friend who's a PhD, has got a PhD in chemistry, and to this day he's not got his English O-level. Didn't stop him at either, did it? So it does need to be looked at.
Okay, no, thanks so much for that. I'm going to bring Chris in now. Chris, I know you've got some opinions on this as well.
Yeah, so some of our employees would fall into that bucket of NEETs, no qualifications. The barrier to entry the apprentice scheme is often too high and unnecessary. I mean, for instance, you really don't have to be able to spell bricks to be able to lay them. Yeah. And 100,000 kids will not leave school with any relevant grades at all, and I'm more concerned what happens to those, to be honest.
Okay, Chris, thanks ever so much for that. What have you picked out from the papers as well?
So picked out from the papers. Firstly, I bought the Times, first paper I bought in ages. I wanted to look at the progress for the England women's rugby, and I turned to the back page, which was an advert for Rolex, which surprised me because the back pages I was expected to see sport, and that shows how far we've gone. It was an advert for Rolex. So 10 pages in, having gone past all the football, I found the women's rugby, which again surprised me, and the lack of marketing around a very successful women's sport that we are one of two of the favourites that are going to win. Left me a bit rankled, if I'm honest, Mark, but I will get the flag out and I will support them tonight. But it could be worse because I could be Welsh. And Welsh rugby is in a terrible, terrible state. I mean, this week they've identified they're going from 4 provinces to 2, but they won't yet say who those provinces are or where they'll play, which is unfortunate because I've got about 4,000 Llanelli Scarlet shirts to get rid of. So I need a bit of a front on that. And then follow that with the even worse news that there really is no loyalty. And Lewis Rees-Zammit is going the same way as Lloyds Bank. Yeah,
to Bristol.
What is all that about?
You're just a cruel man, Chris. You're just a cruel man because you know I support all that, and I totally agree with you about Welsh rugby and the women's rugby, by the way, as well. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I want to watch it. It's really great. And do you know what? These things take time, isn't it? Look at women's football. I remember watching the World Cup women's football
Absolutely.
12 years ago, and look how it's progressed. And I think women's rugby will be the same. Anyway, we're going to run out of time, Chris. I'm going to bring in Tony. Thanks for that, Tony. Great to have you on the show as always. What have you picked out, please, mate?
Thank you. So I had a look in the Metro, and something that particularly stood out for me was a change in how Gen Z are looking at dining out. They've been moving from the more traditional going out for a meal at, say, 7 in the evening to 6. And there's a multitude of reasons for that. Partly it's because they can very often be up early in the morning and going to a gym at 6 a.m. So you need to get to bed a bit earlier. There's also, when we're looking at blended working, it's just a way of bringing in a meal at 6 o'clock and formally bringing in an end to your working day. But I think this is important because we're seeing our high streets, we're seeing our hospitality. We'll be talking about that, I'm sure, in a moment. But they're all having to evolve and change. There's many within hospitality who introduce early bird discounts to eat with them a little earlier. This will fit in really nicely with that as well. It could actually help bolster our evening economy and our nighttime economy, which we need across the Stroud district here, because it gives you the chance to get in an extra set of covers to turn those tables around. But it does mean that businesses need to embrace these changes that are happening. And as we're doing across retail and hospitality, we have to evolve and we have to change to fit in with the changing needs of our customer base.
No, it's funny. We had Felix Elliott Berry from Our House on the show last week, and he was saying about how Gen Z do drink as much as all of us did when we were younger. Apparently, at one point they were saying they didn't. Anyway, thanks for bringing that. Let's bring in Tom because he's a lot nearer to Gen Z than us guys. Tom, great to see you, mate. What have you picked out from the papers?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, obviously, as a new parent myself, just keeping an eye on new topics. But I noticed in the Guardian that they had highlighted that companies have been given 18 months to improve their recipes for children's sort of pouches. Once they get sort of past 6 months, you start weaning them and then you start eating. But in terms of convenience, those pouches are created for sort of on the go, I guess. But yeah, the sugar content and the salt content within those pouches is incredibly high. Whereas you need sort of, energy dense, nutrient dense food. Obviously, you can make that at home yourself, but that's not, quite as easy as some in terms of circumstances. So yeah, someone that's sort of looking forward and looking out for what's to come. My own diet myself, I look to try and avoid sugar where possible. So the fact that it's not sort of regulated already within children's food is pretty poor, to be honest. Something that definitely needs to change and definitely needs to be looked at. So yeah, it's just highlighted to me, really.
Isn't it funny, Tom? Before you had a child, sorry, can I ask how old your child is?
Yeah, my child's 3 months old.
So 3 months old. Before you had a child, you never thought about baby food, did you? It's a bit like
no.
And what's in it? It's the same as schools. I bet you've never looked at schools before until you have a child. It's like one of those things, isn't it? It's not really on your radar. And suddenly you're thinking about looking at content of baby food. How life has turned.
Yeah, no, 100%. And like you said, the next steps, schools and things like that, and you want the best for your child. So, that's exactly what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, no, I remember these come in jars. Little baby pouches, Anyway, let's move on. Okay, guys, thanks ever so much for that. I'm going to bring you in, Claire. Let's talk about SWAC, please. Now, I've obviously known you a long time, and you've been dedicated to SWAC all that time as well. Can you tell us a little bit more about the company, please, and just remind everybody what actually SWAC is and what you guys do?
I suppose one of the changes since the last time I spoke to you, we're no longer what the government used to call an apprenticeship training agency. They made us join another register, and we're now called a flexi job apprenticeship agency. Yes, I know. Basically, it's the same thing that we've been doing for the SWAC as the last 15 years. We help organisations. So we work with the very small, so your one-man bands, your medium-sized, and then we also work with multinational employers to help them to recruit and employ their apprentices, and then we mentor the apprentices. But for me, the process starts before. So from the employer side, we help them to write the job descriptions, we look after all the employment, we look after all the funding, we sort out all the training, we pay the payroll, we make sure everything is compliant, etc. Obviously, we charge them, but we're a not-for-profit, so it's a reasonable price. We charge them the wages and a small admin fee. But for the applicants, obviously, if they're successful, they have a SWAC mentor who catches up with them and makes sure everything's going smoothly. We're there for the good times, we're there for the bad times. But for me, it starts before then. So at the moment, this summer, I've been busy interviewing lots of applicants from level 2 all the way up to level 7. So level 2 is like the equivalent of like a GCSE, and level 7 is like the equivalent of a master's. So I've just finished recruiting for level 7 in accountancy in Nottingham. Had 157 applicants, and I've put forward 15 CVs so far for them to shortlist. So, all the work that goes behind that to get it down. But to be honest, that level, and then also doing the level 2, like early years for schools in Liverpool. We do a lot of work with faith schools in Liverpool for early years and teaching assistants. They get the same support there, and I give them lots of, like I do for all of Aaron's friends as well, when they were going through applying for apprenticeships, like how to make the best out of your interview, what kind of skills they're looking for, a bit of practice on like what kind of questions they're going to ask, etc. So I like to feel that even if they're not successful, I've sent them off on their way to being successful somewhere else with a bit more confidence.
Have kids changed a lot since you've been doing it for over 20 years? Are they the same?
Totally different coming through.
In what way?
I'd say less confidence in some of the younger ones. Like, I think they need a bit. Maybe they've had less experience in life or like in work, etc. Like, to be honest, it depends on the area. When I interview for Liverpool, the applicants coming through in Liverpool are completely different. They're much more sort of like savvy and have had lots of jobs and had to work or whatever, and had, started working at 14, or they've got big families and looked after siblings and other people and babysit and stuff like that. But yeah, there's a lot more children coming through now and don't have any work experience at all. It's really hard to draw those skills, like teamwork, communications.
Well, I think you can't get so many internships anymore. Businesses aren't so quick because obviously the rules and regulations and all sorts of things. Claire, thanks ever so much, but unfortunately that's all we've got time for.
Yeah,
I'm going to bring you in, Chris, now. Chris, I'd like to talk to you about SoFab. How long has the company been going now?
We've been going 12 years. We've had 12 years of continuous growth, anywhere between fast growth and exponential growth. 3 years of grant reliant, and then once you get to sustainability, impact investment, taking about just short of £1 million of impact investment over the last 7 years, and grown it to the business. But the real growth factor, the engine room, is my son Dale, who started it when he was 16. And as a 59-year-old bloke, my skill set that I bring to the business is largely irrelevant now, to be honest. And why it works so well. I mean, 58-year-old, 59-year-old blokes, we are not very clever, but we can lift heavy things. And I've only just realised that there is an alternative to solving problems that doesn't involve shouting at it, which is what, as a factory bloke, I've always sort of had that mentality. So why the business works so well is the kids come in as neats. It's not education. They set the eBay platforms up. They've got enough English, maths to do that. The focus on money and on commerce makes them learn maths very quickly. The purpose of focus on process enables everybody to fit within the system. And more than anything, it doesn't involve your dad telling you what to do. It involves a peer group working together for the benefit of everyone. And that's
now you sell obviously sort of replica football kits and sports kits, don't you? I've been to Cabot Circus, and you've got a shop. You haven't got a shop in Gloucester, is it? There's another shop. Where's your other shop?
We've tried Gloucester a couple of times, partly because the footfall was not great. The footfall that they talk about in Gloucester, really, with the move to being a lived-in city, means that actually the footfall being counted is Mrs. Smith walking to Tesco's 4 times a day to get a bottle of milk and a packet of fags. They don't publish the footfall figures like they do in Bristol. So, yeah, Bristol's been very successful to us, but only because we've been able to sweat the assets. So from the downstairs we sell in the shop, we typically have anywhere between 15 and 20 people in the shop. Upstairs, we'll do TikTok Live and Tilt. And in those sales rooms, like QVC effectively, we'll have anywhere between 100 and 150 people in the combined rooms for 11 to 12 hours a day. So wow. TikTok Live is a major step forward. And I would urge Tony to have a look at it, actually, because some of the biggest people on there are selling sweets.
Well, let's come back to that when we talk about retail. If that's okay with you, Chris. No, yeah. Fantastic. I'm going to bring Tom in now. Tom, let's talk about your sock company, please. Hedgie. How did you start it, and why did you start it?
Yeah, so I started it probably 4 or 5 years ago. So I went to university a little bit later than most. And my course was called Business and Entrepreneurship. So you're encouraged to create something to write about. So simple, black and white. I knew the more that I'd done, the more I can write about, the better my grades would become. So with obviously socks, you can be colourful, you can be expressive, low risk. So I started with 10 designs across one size right at the start. I went to my first market, done really well, a lot of customer engagement. and then just sort of went strength to strength then. And then the name Hedgie come from the fact that hedgehogs are vulnerable to extinction. So I wanted to do something about that. So then I started to bring more and more animals involved, more and more designs. And then essentially the whole business is around creating awareness of British wildlife. And now obviously I've got the more exotic animals. So yeah, I'm just trying to do the right thing. So in terms of the product themselves, made of bamboo, sustainable, and then the donations to a charity. So yeah, it's just about having fun. That's the most important part. And whilst I'm sat at home watching TV, I can crack open the laptop on the weekends, go to markets, Christmas markets, and yeah, just bringing in the family. My mum helps me, my partner helps me, so it's great.
Because here's some of the socks here you sent me, by the way. They're really fantastic designs of them. I've got one pair here and another pair there, which I'll be wandering around later on today. I mean, it's a tough market to be in because there's a lot of competition.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, so when I first started, actually, I didn't really look into the competitors, and I still don't, if I'm honest, because I don't see that as pressure to me. I just want to express my own thoughts and ideas within the business and just let it roll. Whereas they might be a little bit more concerned about how I'm doing and what I'm doing. But yeah, there's some big shops out there that sell specifically just socks. But in terms of like retail, again, obviously it's a hard market, the price points, where you're getting it from, how much you're buying. But as a small business, obviously my quantities are lower and so on and so forth. But in terms of the product itself, I think the product is right up there amongst the best for sure.
Without a shadow of a doubt, because I love bamboo socks, same way I love bamboo pants, by the way. I just love bamboo pants. Anyway, there's a little bit of an insight in the Owen family. Thanks ever so much, Tom. We're going to come back to retail in a second. Tony, let's bring you in. Obviously, you've been in retail a long time. You've got the two shops. I didn't realise you opened a store in Nailsworth as well. Is this why you've got involved in this new LoveNailsworth thing?
Well, I run the Stroud District Chamber of Trade and Commerce for what's now. I started that about 7 years ago. So I was already working with businesses in Nailsworth anyway. I had initially stepped back from that last November, and through my work within the town, because Nailsworth is a great little town. It's got such a diversity of shops. It's got offices, which is really important to keep that balance right. We've got manufacturing on our doorstep and such a vibrant community of business owners as well. And they'd asked me to work with them to help scale up LoveNailsworth within the town and to help raise the profile of the town. And that did coincide with us opening a business in Nailsworth as well. So it was an ideal opportunity, really, to be able to really work with the businesses there and to help support them, because it is such a great little town.
It's funny, I love Nailsworth. We go there. People don't realise there's two big industrial parks right round the back of it as well, and a right diverse set of businesses. One thing I have noticed about Nailsworth, it kind of ebbs and flows though. Businesses come, they don't last. Someone said to me, a lot of people come, they're sort of hobby retailers. Is that unfair, or or sort of a kind of an honest opinion of what it's like there?
I think all of our high streets go through evolutions. Some of the very best businesses come out of people that are doing it because they're just expanding upon their hobby. But I look at the town at the present moment. We've got a very low vacancy rate, which is really positive. We have one business in George Street it was redecorated and open within a fortnight. And there really is a really positive buzz around the town. And because it has so many people living so close to it as well, and good bus links into the town, all of these things actually work to make sure that, at least at the present moment, and I hope it's going to remain the same, it's definitely on the way up. So many people just drive through it and they don't see that there's lots of streets off the side. There's so many different things, and many award-winning businesses there as well, not just across the retail side. We got some of the best eateries you could hope for. Great at Egypt Mill to be able to sit there and enjoy a drink next to the mill pond. I mean, just so many things squished into a relatively small but pretty little town.
And also some fantastic walks as well around it. I'll tell you what, I mean, my wife and I, we go to Nailsworth a lot. to go shopping. It's one of our favourite, and I shouldn't say this, one of our favourite charity shops there as well. But it's really good. And you're right, there's so many restaurants down there, so many good restaurants. It's unbelievable. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. I'm going to come down to that market next time it's on as well. When is the next market on, Tony?
So it's always on the second Saturday of the month. So our next one, if my memory serves me correctly, I think it's the 13th. But yes, so second Saturday of the month, that's the one to be there. Smack bang in the centre of town, right next to the bus station as well.
Okay, right. Thanks ever so much for that. Well, drop me an email, remind me, because I'm terrible. Right, guys, and let's talk retail, because there we are. The high street is doing something about it. It is tough, isn't it? Retail is a tough gig to be in. I'm going to bring you in, Chris. I'd love to find more about this TikTok side of stuff. So maybe it's something that Tom does. I don't know. Maybe something that Tony could do. So tell us about the TikTok sales.
Okay, so TikTok Live, we've been on there probably the last 3 months. So TikTok is QVC, so we've got this, it's a fixed price, click the button, check out. Tilt is more of an auction site. So I'm starting this at a £5, going to bid up. So 2 types of pieces. So if you were reliant on the shop sales alone, the upfront costs of opening a shop in Bristol was 75 grand before you spent a penny on any stock. The landlords are very dominant, particularly in places like Cabot Circus. You've got to comply to very high standards. And it has a cost on a 1-year lease. So we took a bit of a punt. We've now re-signed for 5 years, but it's only possible because we're able to at least double the turnover of the shop through the TikTok live selling. And we'll sell from 10 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. And it's just kids in front of a camera going, I've got this. What are you looking for, mate? I'm looking for a Kansas City Chiefs top in a small. I'll have a look, see if I've got one. How much is that? Hit the button for 70 quid and you're on your way. We'll post it straight from the shop the next day then. So it's a real... If somebody had told me, Mark, that these things existed, I'd have said, no, you're just making it up. But I'm telling you, Mark, I promise you, experientially, in the 3 million turnover, the live shopping will probably be about 1.2 million of that this year.
Wow, I'm gonna bring Tony in, because obviously, Tony, you've got the 3 shops now. I mean, your business rates and gas, electric, staffing, it must be through the roof, mind the pun.
Yeah, well,
it is, and I think all the sorts of blended selling that you can get online, your traditional retail as well, it is important to have those. The most successful businesses I deal with have strong online selling, be that through social media, be it through more traditional high street sales as well. But you're right, the last budget really did hit the high street hard. And there isn't a day goes past when a business owner somewhere across the district isn't talking to me about their concerns of what will come in the next budget. And so we have to hope that there will be some sort of levelling up. And whilst we do have rate reform coming in, it looks very much like that's going to deliver exactly what we have today. Not really benefit the businesses on the high street and the smaller businesses around the country in the way that perhaps it could have done. And it doesn't look as though it's going to negatively impact the companies that are coming in from abroad that are selling so many cheap products into our country, but not necessarily paying the appropriate level of taxes here. So that's not addressing it either.
And let's be honest, that's why Clare's has gone pop, isn't it? It can't compete with Sheen. It's pretty obvious they're not paying the UK tax. It's pretty obvious to all of us, but they just don't do anything about it. Same as Amazon getting away with everything. I just really don't understand it. I'm going to bring you in, Tom, because obviously you've launched your business. It's been going 4 years now. I mean, I don't know where you got the investment. Hello. You don't know where you got the investment from. Did you? How much did you start with to launch the company?
So I'd started with £100, £200 kind of thing. It was purely whilst I was at university. Obviously, I had a little bit of a student loan coming in, so I just thought, well, if I could get a return on my student loan, why not? So having not moved to, so I went to UE, so I didn't move to Bristol because obviously living up in Gloucestershire, but I still had the loan, so I had a little bit to play with. Sort of whilst studying, whilst doing part-time jobs. I just invested it. So yeah, to answer that question, a couple of £100.
Right. Okay. And sort of how, if you don't mind me asking about the sales online, I mean, how do you sort of
Yeah.
promote it? Because you've got a really good website, by the way. I've had a really good look at it and click through, and I, advise I'll put a link to it afterwards as well.
Yes, so in terms of the website, I work with a marketing agency called Milk and Swede, have transformed the business in terms of the branding, the colours. They don't get involved in the designs, however, the visuals, the e-com side of things. And then I sell on my website, I sell on Etsy, not on High Street. I have done Amazon previously, but I've come away from that. But yeah, the opportunities are there. I sell in some independent shops around Stroud, Gloucestershire, and across the world. But in terms of my time, obviously I work full time in my normal job. So yeah, it's just managing time, expectations, and sort of what I can and cannot do whilst having a life as well.
I was going to say, and you've got a young family, mate. I mean, my goodness, Claire, I'm going to bring you in. Do young people still want to get into retail? Are they still interested in hospitality?
I'm just gonna so obviously for me, everything's about skills. The government Skills England brought out the industrial strategy earlier this year. They put out what they think is all the sectors, and the two sectors that they missed off it, and as well, when I did my overview on LinkedIn about it, they missed off completely nothing there about retail and hospitality. Now, for me, retail and hospitality is the two biggest areas where young people start their career. It's where they learn those initial such important skills: the customer service, the team, the communication, thinking on your feet, being able to deal with a difficult customer. It's like it's core, and it's not in the strategy. There's nothing in there about it at all. There's outrage from the retail sector about it.
Claire, what a big surprise. Let's be honest, what a big surprise. The government hasn't thought about it because they just don't think about retail. They just don't think about hospitality. Otherwise, they would never, ever have done the national insurance contributions and the minimum wage, what they've done. I'm very sorry. The other thing that strikes me about retail, very quickly moving on, is the way that people treat staff now. As in the customers, customer service, the customers themselves are a lot harder. I mean, Tony, I don't know. Do you have a lot of problems with your customers, or you probably can't say online? I don't know on a forum like this. You don't want to criticise your customers, do you?
I think we're very fortunate, especially if you're an independent retailer. Generally, things are not as bad as we will witness within national retailers. There, certainly, we do see problems, and we're part of the Stroud Safe system here within my shop. And we often hear of challenges that are faced within some of our national retailers, especially with antisocial behaviour, but also aggression to staff. And certainly as you move into other towns, into more urban areas, it becomes more of a problem. So there is no doubt it is, but I have to say, touch wood, we're relatively lucky here in the Stroud district.
No. Chris, you want to add anything to that? I mean, obviously, you're in Cabot
Yeah, I think the national retailers deserve everything they get. I think seriously, Mark, I know the solution to shoplifting. It's better customer service. You need more staff on the floor. You need to make contact, not with a security guard when you walk through the shop. You need a greeter. Can I help you? What would you like? Where are you going? On the way out? Have you found everything you wanted? They won't put sufficient staff in, and the staff that they put in are all young kids who are just hanging stuff out to replace the stuff that's been nicked. They've only got themselves to blame. Worse than that, they then expect us to subsidise their security through initiatives like the bid and things like that, where we all have to pay for. So and I'm a not-for-profit organisation subsidising the national retailers' securities so they can pay more dividends to their shareholders. Absolute disgrace. They need to sort out their own issues and stop marketing, particularly Gloucester, as a city that is rife with problems that can't afford a police force. You see all the press coming out about the success of stopping shoplifting. What does that say to people? It's like knife crime. You publicise it, it only increases, Mark. The solution lies with the shop owners themselves. More staff, better customer service, more upselling. and a very diverse workforce. So in Bristol, the guy behind the till is street homeless. The guy on the door is an ex-pro boxer who teaches boxing coaching to all the rough kids. So they come from that community that's likely to steal from them, and they don't. Right?
I bet they bloody don't.
Nobody else wants to know them. Nobody else wants to know them, Mark. There you go.
Okay.
I know the answers.
No, thanks ever so much for that, Chris. I was going to use my little sock thing here to wave goodbye to that particular area of it. Tom, I love these, by the way, mate.
Cheers, man.
Anyway, right, okay, I'll crack on. Look, picking the punchlines. I'm going to start with you, Tom. What have you picked from this week's punchline? Only 30 seconds each, guys. Top line. We're running out of time.
Yes. So for me, I picked the new McDonald's, which has obviously replaced the TGI Fridays in Cheltenham. My main concern was actually the traffic along that road, to be honest, which is why it got flagged to me. It's bad enough already, especially with the traffic lights just outside. And also, just in general, there's two McDonald's. There's already, I think there's one in the town centre and there's one just on the outskirts. I don't think we need a third one. I think we could have, utilised that area a lot more better. Whether that's creating, like a paddle court, some sort of kids activity centre. I don't think it was needed. And I think in terms of the problem, that come from the traffic as well.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I love a Big Mac, but there you go. Okay, thanks ever so much. Claire, what have you picked out from this week's punchline, please?
So, there was lots of things. I nearly picked out the Centauri one because obviously it's just down the road from where I'm sat at the moment. But no, I went with, because I'm a big fan of camera and I'm a big fan of proper real pubs. I live in the Forest of Dean. We're surrounded by some really good pubs. And I was really surprised. I have never been to the Pelican, and it's been pub of the year, and it's Camera have put it forward again this year in the finals, and I just can't believe I've not been in. And I didn't even know that the Wye Valley had taken it over and refurbished it in 2012. And I was like, how have I not been there? Like,
hey, look, We've got some great pubs here, the Pelican being one of them. Cafe Rene, the Thirsty Pine, some really great pubs here in Gloucester.
I've been to all of that.
You've been to all of those, and the Fountain. Shouldn't mention the Fountain as well. Claire, we'll have to go for a beer in the Pelican together. Okay, Tony, let's bring you in. Thank you, Tony. Let's bring you in. What have you picked out from this week's punchline?
So the one that stood out for me was from Tuesday, and that was your coverage of the franchising of the post office here in Stroud town. It's great that that's happened, so we definitely need to celebrate that. It's been taken over by RF Retail, or it will be, who've already got 25 branches. They've been running the first since 5 years ago. But as we all know, our high streets and post offices are an important part of that. They're not just selling places, they're actually community hubs. And it's a really important part of that mix. So we need to be sure that the services really will be there, and that our very much loved staff here in Stroud, they are absolutely brilliant. We hope that they will all be kept on. So very positive in many ways, but perhaps a bit too soon to unconditionally celebrate.
No, thanks so much for that, Tony. A bit like Newent when they closed the post office there. They closed all the banks, closed the post office, and no one could cash any money. Yeah. Chris, thanks for that, Tony. Chris, what have you picked out?
The £400,000 worth of community grants from the county council. Great number. Just if on the previous history, the scattergun approach of small grants to multiple organisations keeps a lot of people happy, but probably not the most effective way to spend that sum of money. Leave that to the Rotary clubs.
Okay, thank you ever so much for that. Unfortunately, guys, that's all we've got time for today. I just want to thank my fantastic panel. Thanks ever so much for joining us. My wonderful sponsors, Hazelwood's Accountants and Business Advisors, and all of you for watching. If you like the show, please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll be back again next week. But remember, until then, it's all in the punchline. Thanks ever so much for that. Bye.